Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Beta, in our last class, we have studied about the biological classification of matter. Biological classification of matter. And according to that definition, we have concluded. Just I'm recalling the material, then we will move to words in a detail. According to that definition, we have concluded that there are basically what? There are four types of matter. Number one, what was that? That was the living matter. Number two, what was that? Was the dead matter, means the living matter after the death. Number three, we talk about non-living matter, non-living matter. Okay, we are just talking about the biological classification of matter. Now the fourth one, the last one, this is called semi-living matter. Means semi means few people they think that this is living substance and some think that they are non-living. Okay, now in our last class we have also concluded that how can you say that the substance is living or non-living. We just introduced some basic characteristics of living matter, and what were the characteristics that I just produced. Basically in the books, one of the abbreviation is used, that is called Mrs. Green, but for my students I use the term Mrs. Grainer. Okay, and we have also concluded that C means cellular, M for movement, R for respiration, S for sensitivity, G for growth, E for excretion, N for nutrition, A for adaptation. Okay, now we are just moving further that the living matter which is in front of us, it is further divided into 5 kingdom system. Means the all living material, the all living matter of the universe that has been found yet, and they are further grouped and classified. They are further grouped and classified into what? Into 5 kingdoms. To 5 kingdoms. They are also called taxons. Okay, but before going to understand the concept of taxons and the kingdom, you must understand that each and every living organism on the basis of their nucleus, I'm just making one line here just to understand the concept. On the basis of nucleus, when you talk about in each and every living organism which is made up of cell, one or more cell, the living organisms, all of the living things, all of the livings that are found on our planet, and they has been classified. Basically, they are further grouped broadly. They have 2 types of groups. And what are these groups? You have to understand this concept before going to start to understand the concept of 5 kingdom system. Okay, this is the biggest unit. Okay, and some people they say that before kingdom there is something like this. Okay, all of the living organisms they are further grouped before going to arrange them into kingdom. What are they? They are called eukaryotics or eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Do you have any idea about eukaryotes and prokaryotes? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Eukaryotes are the ones like the complex cells. with the nucleus and many other organelles. And prokaryotes are the like simple kind of cells, usually without nucleus or any like complex organelles.
Okay, that's very good. But I'm just going to ask again, when you talk about prokaryotes, they have no nucleus, zero nucleus, then how can they survive? Because the importance of the nucleus is like that, like a brain of our body. Without brain, we cannot survive. Without brain, we cannot perform and coordinate to one another. So, is it possible without nucleus the cell can survive? And cell can perform all of the things like excretion, metabolism, movement, reproduction, etc., etc., etc. Do you think?
There, don't prokaryotes usually have those like small like strings of DNA, those plasmids?
Yeah. Now I'm just going to move out. What is the basic concept of you? The answer of my question is just hidden in the terminologies. You and carriers. Pro and carriers. Basically, what I'm just going to tell you about, and why I'm going to tell you these things, because I have done my master's in clinical microbiology, and that was the same question that my professor asked me in the university, and I replied in the same manner. And he again asked that question that I have asked to you. So, beta, when you talk about the eukaryotes, remember, beta, what's the meaning of you? And what's the meaning of karyotes? What's the meaning of pro? What's the meaning of karyotes? So, you means I'm just going to write down the definition or the meaning of these terminologies. And what I have told you in the beginning, if you are able to understand these terminologies, it means you may be regarded as the queen of biology, because these terminologies keep a very distinct story, and this distinct story is very, 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 very interesting. Okay. What's the meaning of you? The meaning of you is full, or you may also say that what's the meaning of you, that is also called complete. Okay, there is another meaning in biology of you, that is called mature. These are the meanings that you may use to identify the term you: full, or complete, or mature. Okay, now I'm moving towards the next thing, that is the definition of karyotes. The definition of karyotes means nucleus, having nucleus, keeping nucleus, having nucleus, nucleus, nucleus. Got that point? Means the organisms, they keep the full nucleus. The organisms which keep the organisms which cells keep the full nucleus. The organism which cells keep the complete nucleus. The organisms, they keep their cells keep the mature nucleus. So we will move towards also what do you mean by mature. Okay, we will also think about what do you mean by mature. But before going to understand the concept of mature and something else, you have to understand the concept of pro. What's the meaning of pro? When we talk about the pro means what? I'm just changing the color just to differentiate the things and material here. Okay, I'm just using that one. Okay, like this. Pro means primitive. You may check or Google these terminologies also. There is another terminology that you may use here. Pro means primitive, or pro means first, or you may also use that word in pro means before. And the same thing you may use here. Karyotes means what? Karyotes means having nucleus. What's the meaning of karyotes? Having nucleus. Means the organisms which cells keep the primitive nucleus, or the first nucleus, or before nucleus, or one more meaning you may have, that is immature nucleus. What is the concept behind it? You have to understand before going to understand the concept of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. You have to understand the concepts. You have to understand the concept of nucleus, the cell nucleus. Okay, now let's suppose, now I'm just talking about the nucleus of the cell. This is called cell nucleus. Nucleus has a very central role in the cells. The meaning of nucleus, when we talk about the nucleus, the term that we use for the cell nucleus is called karyon. Karyon. Cell nucleus means karyon. Okay? Is it okay? And can we move further to explain the terminology?
Yes, sir. But wait, the other name for nucleus is karyon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when we talk about the karyon, there are two types of cell nucleus. As I have told you that one is complete or full nucleus, and the second one is incomplete or primitive nucleus. Basically, the people think that the first living creature that was found on the earth or created on the earth, it's about more than 3000 billion years ago. One living creature was produced, and that was bacterial cell. That bacterial cell was the first living organism. That's why their nucleus is primitive, and it was immature nucleus. So you cannot say that, so you cannot say that these living things have no nucleus. What does it mean? It means that the nucleus, the cell nucleus, is what basically cell keeps the two different types of nucleus, and those organisms which keep the complete nucleus, they are called eukaryotic organisms or eukaryotes, and those organisms which cell keeps only the primitive nucleus, they are called prokaryotic organisms. So you cannot say that they have no nucleus. You must modify your statement. You must say that they have no mature nucleus, they have no full nucleus, they have no complete nucleus. Now the question is, then what do you mean by complete or mature nucleus? So i'm just I'm not going in detail, but I'm just going to ask about, I'm just going to share you what do you mean by the complete nucleus. Basically, the complete nucleus made up of four things. Number one, nuclear membrane, which is also called nuclear envelope. Nuclear membrane, okay, which keeps small pores, and we will also discuss this thing in second chapter, which is about cell. The second thing that is found in the mature nucleus or complete nucleus, which is what they keep the nucleoplasm, a fluid that is found inside the nucleus. Nucleoplasm. And the third thing they have, this is called what? This is called nucleolus, means a nucleus inside the nucleus. This is called nucleolus. Nucleoli. Basically, there is no one nucleolus is found. The plural is nucleoli and the singular is nucleolus. I'm writing SING. Singular is nucleolus. Nucleolus. Nucleus. A small spherical body is found inside the nucleus and they make the ribosomal RNA, but their actual work is unknown yet. And the last one is called nuclear material or genomic structure. The last material they have, the last material they have, this is called nuclear material. Nuclear material, or also called chromatin network, or also called chromosome, or genomic structure. Genomic structure means the genetic material. You may also say that the genetic material. Okay, genetic material. I'm just also going to write down chromosomes. Chromosomes, which are basically what they are, basically the condensed form of DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. That was the thing. So these four things make one complete nucleus, which is called eukaryon. Eukaryon. But at the other hand, the primitive nucleus, which is termed as prokaryon, keeps only one thing. Okay, now the eukaryon and the prokaryon, the eukaryon, I'm just highlighting it, eukaryon. The complete nucleus keeps the fourth thing, the nuclear membrane, which is also called nuclear envelope, nucleoplasm, the liquid material, the jelly-like material found inside the nucleus, and it is covered by the nuclear membrane, and the nucleoli, okay, a spherical body found inside the nucleus. And the last thing, that is nuclear material or chromosome or DNA. But when you talk about the prokaryon, the prokaryon, they keeps what? They keeps only one thing. There are so many differences in between eukaryotic and prokaryotic organisms. But the prokaryon keeps only one chromosome. Only one chromosome. So beta, now you have the complete picture in your mind that prokaryotic organisms, they have the prokaryotic nucleus or prokaryon. The first difference between the eukaryotic and prokaryotic organism, the first primary difference is about their nucleus. Okay? Then after their conversion, we can say that all of the living organisms, they are might be eukaryotic organisms or prokaryotic organisms. Now this five kingdom system, when you talk about the five kingdom system, which is further classified, this classification system, this is basically called, now I'm just going to make a circle over here. When we talk about the five kingdom system, living matter, etc., 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 now these all things are basically regarded what? They all are regarded in a very specific science of biology. How we are going to classify the material, how we are going to classify the things, they all are regarded as a very special and unique science of biology. And that is what this is called taxonomy. Have you heard about the word taxonomy?
No, sir.
Okay, now you will experience that word. This is all about concepts. This is all about concepts. Taxonomy. Okay, when you talk about taxonomy, the word taxo, basically taxonomy is the branch of biology which deals about the biological classification system. The word taxo means to arrange, and nomi means classification, naming. Okay, now so you can say that there are two combination. What I have told you, if you are able to understand these terminologies, so it means you can enable yourself to arrange your concepts according to the situation. The taxonomy is a branch of biology that deals with biological classification system. But when you talk about the taxonomy, this branch of biology is basically based on different other branches. Taxonomy is a branch of biology. It is a branch of biology, okay, used, okay, to the branch of biology in which classifying of the object or classification system or biological classification of the system is being studied. Biological classification system is studied and developed. Because the lecture that I'm going to do that, and inshallah I'll try my level best to continue my lecture till 1.5 hours. Inshallah I'll try my level best. Because just to cover these things in a very specified way. It's a branch of biology in which biological classification system is studied and developed. I use the word develop because when talk about the biological classification system, the taxonomy, basically this branch of biology is based on other different types of branches. Number one, let's suppose in your syllabus you have studied about the difference between animal cell and plant cell. Have you noticed why you are here to study the difference between animal and plant cell initially? And what is the primary difference between animal and plant cell when you are going to classify animal and plants? Yes, beta. Hello, are you?
Their cell structure and the different
Yeah,
organelles they have.
definitely right. The cell structure and the first primary thing, that is the cell wall, then the chloroplast, etc., etc., etc. Cell structure. So the taxonomy based on what? Taxonomy based on a branch of biology which is called cytology. Because when you are going to perform the Excel, it means you have to understand these concepts. Cytology. Okay, what's the meaning of cytology? The word cyto. The word cyto. What's the meaning of cyto? These are the basic terms that you must know in at the beginning of your classes. When you talk about the cyto, the word cyto means cell. The word cyto means cell. And logy means study, observation. Okay, it's about cell biology. You can also say that cell biology because in cytology you study about cells. Okay, when you are going to classify any kind of living material, okay, what I have told you that the living material, the first characteristic, that is C, Mrs. Greena, means each and every living organism is made up of cell, one or more cells. So you need to understand the concept, the basic concepts of cell. Okay, basically we start classification on the basis of their cellular differences and cellular similarities. The primary difference is that cell of plant and cell of animal, they keep cell wall, means the cell wall is found in the plant cell but not in animal cell. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now beta, I'm just going to again ask one question. When you talk about the cell wall, like let's suppose cell wall is found in animal plant cells but not in animal cells, then what about fungal cell? The fungal cells, they also have the cell wall. Let's suppose the plant cell, I'm using the plant cell. The plant cell, the plant cell, they keep the cell wall. The plant cell, they keep what? Cell wall. I'm writing CW. What's the meaning of CW? Cell wall. But animal cell, no cell wall. When you talk about the animal cell, they don't have cell wall. So I'm asking one question. There is the one living organism which is called fungi or fungi. Their cell also keep the cell wall, but they are not regarded as plant. The fungus, it is grouped in a separate kingdom, and the when you talk about the plant cell have no cell wall. They have no cell wall. So what about the fungus or fungal cell? What is
Sir,
your answer?
was it plant cells and fungi cells both have cell walls, but they're like chemical, like their biochemistry, their chemical
Yeah,
composition is different.
that's the
For
thing.
like cell wall, it's cellulose, and for fungi, it's something else.
That is chitin. Okay, chitinous cell wall is found in the fungus. That's very good. That's why the taxonomy, the second payable attention in taxonomy, that is the biochemistry. If you are going to study the taxonomy, you must focus also on biochemistry. The second parameter of taxonomy means when you are going to classify any living organism, you must focus on biochemistry. Means when you are classifying the material on the basis of their cell, but there are certain things which cannot be fit any kind of cell study basis, then we will get the help of biochemistry. So the second parameter of taxonomy is biochemistry, in which we study the biochemical composition of the living organism. Like on the basis of that, bacteria, they are found in prokaryotic organism group. They are called kingdom Monera. So they also have the some bacteria, they also have the cell wall, but their cell wall composition is entirely different. The substance that is found in the cell wall of bacteria, this is called peptidoglycan. But there is another thing that I need to understand here. But there is one more criteria that we use. This is called homology. This is called homology. What's the meaning of homology? Homo means same, and logy means, what's the meaning of logy, beta?
The study of.
Yeah, that's good. Homology. Now, the definition of the homology is homo means same, and logy means study. Now, this same study, what's the meaning of that? We study the same arrangement body parts which have the different functions. Let's suppose in homology, you compare uh, the foot of dog, you compare the foot of dog, let's suppose in case of animals, okay, we are just moving in the group of animals like foot of dog, okay, we are also comparing that foot of dog with the fin of whale, okay, we also compare that hand of human and the flying fin of bat, hand of human. Now, when we talk about their internal structure, the internal structure of these organisms, this is almost same. They have the bones like humerus, then radius, ulna, wrist bones, tarsals, metatarsals, flanges, etc., etc., etc. But their functions are entirely different. The functions are entirely different. Okay, by the help of foot of dog, the dog use its foot for running or for walking. The fin of whale is used for swimming. The hand of human is used for grasping the material, to holding the material. So in the homology we study about what? We study about the internally same organized material, the internally the same organized material, but they have the different functions. Like in
Yes,
case
sir.
of,
So,
yes beta,
is homology like the differences in anatomy?
yeah, differences in morphology. I was
Okay.
asked, I was also going to write down that thing here. Okay, basically homology is a combination of three branches of biology. One is called anatomy. Anatomy means study of internal structures. Anatomy means study of internal structure. The second one is morphology, study of external appearance, like the foot of dog, fin of whale, hand of human, they all have the same arrangement of the bones. Morphology, and the last one that is called embryology. Embryology, let's suppose the chick embryo, human embryo, the fish embryo, they develop with the same matter or manner. They have same specific and primary structures, but with the passage of time their embryo gets differences. Like the chick embryo has a different structure. Okay, let's suppose I have the early stage embryo of human, I have the early stage embryo of a chick, I have early stage embryo of a dog. Okay, they all have the same pattern of arrangement of the cells, and they are going to grow in a one ball, and they were growing in the same pattern. But in the last, each and every organism will be a, in a different position, and they will produce a different structure. One more thing that I need to study here, the structure of the living organism. Let's suppose the most of the people that say that the monkeys and the human, they are relatives. Okay, according to Darwin, we and monkeys are the relatives. For example, I'm the uncle of someone, any chimpanzee or any gorilla. Okay, now it's about the another parameter of the taxonomy is about what it is called evolution. According to that concept, the biologists think that each and every organism has the same pattern of the structure, because we all are made up of cells. What are the basic structure of a cell? The basic structure of the cells are what? They are cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. But with the passage of time, when the cells grow, they convert into different forms of matter. Okay, So we must link to one another, and we can find out what is the origin of the living organism, because it's very much necessary to identify the origin of any kind of living organism. Let's suppose in case of plants, okay, all of the biologists, they are agreed on one point, that the plants are basically derived from algae. Okay, algae are the ancestors of the plants. All of the animals, they are derived from protozoas. All of the fungus, they are derived from the fungi like protoctist. Now we are moving further. For on that basis, we can just identify what is the origin of our classification. But in the last but not least, we are just focusing on one material, and this is the basic thing that can identify and differentiate the living organisms to one another and species. Especially, let's suppose if I'm just considering myself and a chimpanzee or a gorilla. When talk about, they are my relatives, but how they are different from me, why I'm not same like them? Because of genetics. In the last, we study about the genetics. Genetics is the study of the genes and the chromosomal structures and the genetic material from one generation to another generation. This genetic, this is the last parameter of taxonomy. This describe us a very, 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 very informative material. And this informative material will help us to understand the concept of that each and every living organism has different quantity of chromosome. Let's suppose in bacterial cell, there is only one chromosome found. In yeast, one type of fungal cell, it keeps the two chromosome. What, how many chromosomes are found in our one cell? In our one cell. Okay, beta, how many chromosomes are found in human?
46.
46. Means these chromosomal numbers are entirely different. So we can differentiate the groups into the groups. We can further divide the groups into further groups, and we can differentiate into different type of species. So it's about these are the parameters. What are the parameters? Like cytology, this is the first parameter. Biochemistry, this is the second parameter. And then homology, this is the third parameter. Evolution, this is the fourth parameter. And the fifth and last parameter of living creation, that is the genetics. This is one of the interesting topic, and I don't know how the teachers, they are very much expert, and they can just wave off the initial 3 or 4 chapters in a month, while having the 3 classes, 4 classes in a week. I don't know how, what kind of magic they have, without creating the concept, because these initial chapters, they are very important to create the further concepts of the next chapters. So is it clear about the things?
Sir, can I ask one question?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so could taxonomy be described as the parameters of biological classification system in which cytology, biochemistry, homology, evolution, and genetics fall into?
Just repeat your question again, beta.
I was asking, like, if I could define taxonomy, could I write that taxonomy is like the parameter, or one of the parameters of biological classification system, under which it has like 5 branches, like cytology, biochemistry, homology, genetics, and evolution.
Okay, okay, I
Like
got it, I
evolution,
got it, I
biohistory.
got it, I got it. Remember, in your examination, till yet there is no such type of question has been asked, neither in edexcel nor in IGCSE, and either also in GCE O level system or GCSE. But you must have the concept. This is the basic definition. If you has been asked to define taxonomy, you just define these things that I'm going to mention here. I'm just going to mention, this is the definition, just define that thing. Okay, if I'm going to ask what do you mean by taxonomy, just read out that thing that I have mentioned here. Okay, taxonomy is a branch of biology in which biological classification system is studied and developed. If I ask another question, what are the parameters of taxonomy? Then you can say that these are the parameters of taxonomy: cytology, biochemistry, homology, evolution, and genetics. Then may I ask, what do you mean by homology or cytology or biochemistry, evolution, or genetics? Okay, these are the further questions that may be asked if you are sitting in front of your class fellows and you are debating on a topic, that you must know that what is the basic definition. This is the basic definition, and the thing that I have told here, these are the basic parameters on which the branch of biology is based. Like if you are going to get the admission in any medical college, okay, just to study the human physiology and anatomy, you will not be able yourself to be a doctor. Then you have to study the medicines, in medicine, in pharmacology, in cognosy, and pharmacodynamics, and kinetics, etc., etc., etc. Then also biochemistry, then also genetics. Then these are the parameters which describe the one way of working in particular sciences. Okay, if you are asked to define taxonomy, then you have to ask these things. Like I'm just going to show you the concept and use of classification system. When you are going to give the classification system, what are these concepts? I'm just going to show you here in the book like this. You will use the kingdom system, the artificial system, binomial nomenclature, then species, then again these things. Like you can see that I'm just going to just highlight here. Classification is traditionally based on the studies of morphology, the study of form and anatomy, and these are the terms we have also studied. Got my point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you must focus on these things. If you are able to understand, then you will be able to understand the concept, like the concept of homology that I provided. Now look at here. This is what? This is human arm. Okay, this is one bone. This is called humerus, and this type of question has been asked in ATP in IGCSE. Okay, yesterday I was just teaching a student who is going to appear in October, November, and she is the student of city school, and we were just solving one ATP alternative to practical paper, and that same question has been asked from this portion. There were the two bones. The first is was humerus and the second one was radius. Okay, that was the radius. This bone was given. Then they just connected that bone with another question of the movement and skeleton. What do you mean by these type of joints? Then they asked another question. Then they asked to draw that bone and identify its magnification, blah 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 blah. So, like, look at here. These are the bones of human arm. These are the bones of a lizard arm, and this is the. These are the bones of a bird, and these are the bones of a whale, and these are the bones of a bat. Now you can say that this is humerus, this is humerus, and this is humerus. The bones, they are organized in same pattern, same anatomical structures, but their morphology is little bit different, their external appearance different, and their functions are entirely different. Okay, these are the things. Like you can say that these are the two leaves. Okay, like what is the morphology of these two leaves? The leaves of the British sycamore left and London plan. Okay, these leaves just they are very much resemble to one another, but entirely they are entirely different to one another. Like, just if I'm going to zoom them, you have to understand that what are the different characteristics you can find here. Okay, their blade structure, their sharp edges, the grooves that are found in the midrib and the branches of the midrib as compared to the this one. Like, these are the sciences that's why we just give a very clear concept to our students that you must study the things in that manner. Is it clear, beta?
Yes.
Okay, is there any question regarding the topic I'm here to share?
No, sir. I've cleared all my questions.
Okay, just take the snapshot if you want to take the snapshot, or have you written all of these things?
Sir, I've taken notes on this.
That's very good. I appreciate those students who just take the notes. Okay. In our tomorrow class, we will study about the five kingdom system in a very, very, very quicker way. But before going to do that, you must know that the kingdom system, when you talk about in taxonomy, the largest unit of taxonomy is kingdom, and the smallest unit of taxonomy is species. Okay, we will just divide the organism into kingdoms, then kingdoms into phylum, then phylum into classes, then blah 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 blah. In the last we have genus and species. Okay, so smallest unit, you must just memorize one more thing. The smallest unit of taxonomy is species, and that question has been asked. And the largest kingdom, this is called the largest unit of the taxonomy, this is called kingdom. Okay, so in the classification we will move from kingdom to species. I hope, alhamdulillah, I have cleared your concept. Is there any kind of ambiguity? I'm here to give you the answer because you have 1 more minute to complete your class.
No, sir. I understood everything.
Thank you very much, beta. God bless you. Inshallah, we are meeting tomorrow with the same time, with the same manner. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.